everyone. Today I will be creating this fun Halloween card, this Boo card, using elements from the Extraordinary Extras release for this month's Hero Studio. First up, I am going to be cutting Boo using the B and O alphabet dies. I will link them down below, but I am using them on this A2 panel of peony cardstock that I used the Halloween words stencil on. And I used the white pearl hero paste on that stencil to create this panel. I created another panel just like this and used some Hero Art sprays to create this card, but I had different plans for this panel, and at the last minute I just decided to cut it up and see what it would look like. So here we are, cutting it up for this Halloween card. Now it's time to make some bats. So I am grabbing some black glitter cardstock from Hero Arts, and I'm backing this with some scrapbook.com adhesive on the rolls. I use this glitter paper to cut out the Haunted Romance Fancy Dies set, which includes the spider webs as well as those little bats. Having these with the adhesive already on the back makes it so much easier to use them and adhere them onto my project. Now I'm grabbing an A2 size card panel of Dove White cardstock, and I take the unicorn ink cube and I am rubbing the unicorn ink all over the panel so that I can add my ink on top and then blend it better. That is just a little tip. It helps make the ink not as bright and easier to blend on my cardstock. So I've added some taffy ink and I'm just going to blend that out. I'm focusing the taffy ink towards the center of this card panel, being sure to blend as much as possible, but I do want there to be some bright areas of pink as well. I then grab the licorice reactive ink and I am going around the edges of the card panel using this ink and trying to buff around the pink area. I did not put the unicorn ink around the edges on here. Once it got a little harder to buff, I just grabbed the panel, turned it over, and swiped along the edges. And I'm going to just go in with my ink blending brush and buff that out. Do not fret. This is very much so a trust the process for me. So what I then do is grab Purple Galaxy and I am going in with that and trying to add that in between the black and pink layer. I just thought this card needed a little bit more depth. So I added that in and I'm going to buff that out as well. Once the initial layers of all of these colors are complete, I go back and forth between the taffy and the licorice and the purple galaxy, and I add them into places where I think more color is needed and buff and blend more. Once all that is complete, I grab my water bottle and I spritz the paper with my water. And that is what brings this background to life and makes it blend and meld together even better. I use my flour sack to carefully pick up all of the excess water, and then I go back in with the taffy ink to add more vibrance to the pink area because a lot of that was taken off with the water spraying. So this is what I'm now left with. To further add more color variation, I wanted there to be a little pop of orange, so I do go in with a small brush and the creamsicle reactive ink and I add in little dabs of orange around this card panel. I don't try to blend it in overly. I want it to pop just a bit. It just adds a little bit of distressing to this card panel. Taking some of the acrylic spray, I just take the sprayer itself. I add a few of those drops and splatters across the panel and then set that to the side to dry. With my card panel dry, I then get ready to assemble all of my pieces. Again, we have the spider webs, we have a few bats, and we have this boo here. So I'm just placing the boo where I think I would like for it to be, and I'm going to place my spider webs around on the card panel. I am not sure of the word placement, but I am somewhat sure of where I want these spider webs to be. So I just stick them down Once they are in place, they are not going anywhere. So I hope if you do this method, you know exactly where you are putting everything down so you don't have to fuss with your paper or accidentally rip it. Now that my two spider webs are in place, I went ahead and added foam squares to the back of my letters, and then I carefully placed those onto my card front. They are at a angle diagonally across that card panel. I did end up fiddling around with placement once I had them down a little bit. So just be careful if you do this as well because my foam squares are very strong. So I probably should have just put some wet glue on them to make them a little easier to move around if I needed, but I did not. Once the letters are in place, I then go in with a few of these small bats and I add those as like an accent to my card. I also went ahead and cut off the overhang of the bottom corners spider web, and I used that to tuck it behind the bee just to fill in some of the negative space that is on the card front. And that essentially finishes off this Boo card. Again, I use the Haunted Romance dies as well as the Alpha dies and the Halloween stencil. But guys, if you enjoy this tutorial, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And that is all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.